Watching this video is going to increase your comic book knowledge up to 100%. Hey there, today I have an unboxing video, and in this video I'm going to open up an order I placed with Midtown Comics, and it was during one of their random, I guess they're flash sales. They're these sort of unannounced 24-hour only sales that really, I think they're coming up a little bit more frequently. I've noticed some other online stores are also having more sales more often. Probably a good indication, or maybe not a prediction of what's to come with the market, but really just maybe helping tell the story that is the current comic book market. So when these sales occur, I check them out. I like to see what's in stock, what type of sale they're running, and more often than not, the the sale is an up to sale. So it's like a certain amount that gets advertised, and in all the promotions, it's a giant number, like 80%. You'll see 80% off, and then the smaller text says up to. And what's interesting to me is that there's all kinds of terminology that gets thrown around between comic book buyers, sellers, stores, enthusiasts, influencers. Just about everybody uses different phrases and terms to push their own agenda and narrative. And online stores, or any stores for that matter, any retailer, is no different. And a lot of this is just, I would say, common sense knowledge, but sometimes when you're kind of in the thick of it, when you're into comic books like I am, and you're buying, and maybe you're buying emotionally, you're sprinkling in some FOMO. There's a magic formula for the emotional state of your average comic book collector. But there are times where maybe you ignore the common sense and you see something like 80% off, and you just feel like this is the opportunity to buy all of the variants and all of the incentives and all those special covers at 80% off. And then, of course, lo and behold, you get on the store and maybe the discount is really only about 20 or 30%. What I like to do is, if there is a sale that lists an up to amount, what I will do is I will go into their interface and actually select that specific amount, because I want to see what are the books that you're really putting up for sale at that number, whatever it is, 50%, 60%, 75%. It doesn't matter what the number is, but the advertised up to amount, I will go in and filter by that specific amount and really try and stick to just those books and not be persuaded to see, well, let me just see what other books they have. Let me see. It's hard. I don't always follow my own rules, but you see this a lot, especially on a holiday weekend. I saw another one this morning. All slabs across the entire site are on sale for up to a certain amount. And you get on there, and the bulk of them are only 20 to 35% off, which is, I would say, almost just their everyday average sale. This happens in all walks of life. All different kinds of retailers use this tactic. But I pointed out just because, again, I, as a comic book collector, often are dealing with other influences and emotions around the hobby that I really love. And it often maybe clouds my decision making a little bit. So I try my best to really stick to the plan, stick to the mission and the process. And I, again, use the search tools that these online sites give you. You can't always do this if you're in a physical store, right? And you see the sign outside says holiday weekend sale up to 80% off comic books, and you walk in and it's your standard 10% off sale, except for the one behind the counter that's 80% off. So they've got you in the store. It's hard sometimes to hold back. But when you're shopping online, dig into those extra filters. Click in. What I often do as well, especially with Midtown, is I will go ahead and configure my filters so that I see like all books. and then I will save that URL and start to manipulate that instead of searching. Because what happens is if you will put in like a search term like X-Men after you filter, a lot of times they'll show you all X-Men on sale and not the X-Men on sale at that specific amount. And a lot of times what you have to do is leave your filters set, go into the address bar, find the variable that contains the search criteria, and change that. That way you're searching on that search criteria at the specific discount that you're looking for. And I'm going to unbox this and then kind of come back to this thought, and discuss maybe some of the search terms that I used to find these books that I acquired through one of the more recent Midtown flash sales. So let me unbox this. Fingers crossed that nothing was damaged in transit. I can show you the books I got, and then at the end, I'll show you what I paid for them, and we'll see how I did. So here we go. All right, here we go. This is the box that I received from Midtown Comics. This order was placed in May of 2022. So let me go ahead and open this up. This is the standard Midtown cardboard box. Looks to be in okay shape. Again, very typical. So let's get this thing open. All right, everything's nice and snug in here. The bubble wrap that comes inside that box is the best in the business. It's this that is the worst in the business, this paper bag. My fingers are crossed that the books I have in here are without that in-transit damage. And any other more expensive ones, sometimes they'll even put a rigid top loader just to further protect the book. So I'm really hoping that's the case. Nice and healthy stack of books. So let's see what was in this order. All right. Black Cat #1. This is the Artgerm variant. Love Artgerm. These, by the way, all of these were, I want to say all. Maybe there's a few in here that didn't have the discount. So again, I kind of went against my own rule and just figured, while I'm here, I'll just do a little browsing. So they did get me, but nothing really outrageous. I would say just things I had in my cart already. This is again, I love Artgerm. He's fantastic. You will hear people who complain say a lot of these sorts of books look the same, but I don't think so. I think he's an amazing digital artist and love all of his covers. So I see books like this, and one of the reasons I always target these types of books is that if you can get them, and I know it's like kind of a broken record, like if you can get them in a 9.8, well, of course you want every book in a 9.8, I understand that. But when you can get these cheaper books, right? So this is a book that I got at a very nice discount, very, very inexpensive. And then you get this back in a 9.8, and it's getting in that 700, I wish. It's getting in that $75 to $125 price range, which to me, I try and target that $100 CGC because then it's worth your time to buy, grade, curate, send into CGC, wait, receive, and so forth. And then you've got a nice value add into your collection. Let's try another book, see what we got. Speaking of Artgerm, another one of these. Love this one right there. I already have it in a 9.8, but this is X-Men #1. This is the 2019 series. When I got back into the hobby in 2019, this was probably in one of my first orders from Midtown. Maybe my second or third overall order when I got back into the hobby was this book right here. I think it's gorgeous. So many things I could talk about this book all day, but I mean, just even here with her hand on the other side of the portal, and it's kind of faded. It just, there's a ton of detail. The one thing I would say is over the last few years, There's been, I think, less detail on the cover with some of these digital artists. So I love this sort of period, the 2017 to 2020 maybe, where go back and look at the early Momoko covers, right, where you saw a lot of framing and some other characters, and now it's just kind of a single character with a solid color for the most part. So, like these two books, obviously, good example. What did I put in my search term? I put an artist. So, a lot of times it's difficult if you're trying to search for books on sale and you put Spider Man, you're going to get flooded with pages and hundreds of books that have various discounts across the board. So, I will put artists. So, I will put things like I said, after I set my filters, then I will put ArtGerm as my search term and we'll sort the results appropriately, either by lowest price or even sometimes highest price, just because I want to see release date and so forth. And then I just start grabbing those books and adding them to my cart. All right, here's another one. This is Alice Ever After. Let me turn this around. This is issue number 1 by Jenny Frison. Now, of course, I have to take back what I just said around artists that I love that are pushing out tremendous covers, just cranking them out every month. Frison's amazing, one of my all-time favorites, and she actually included quite a bit of detail, which is why I went after this book. So this is a new release. This is a series from Boom Studios, and there is a virgin cover variant of that. This is just the standard. I think it's the actual variant edition or variant copy for Alice Ever After. I think Panosian did the cover A, but so much detail in here that a lot of Frison's covers, it's just the character's face, just a portrait of the one of the main characters in the story. But this I really loved. It was a full body piece with all of the additional design work included. So I wanted to grab this one as well by Frison. So ArtGerm, Frison, all of your mainstream artists. Again, what I love is they're very popular, yes. And I talk about this with McFarlane. McFarlane is always going to sell. His art is extremely recognizable. So even if you say, well, that's mass produced, I always love the argument around print runs and things like that. Real collectors who love comics, they don't really care about print run. It just kind of is what it is. It's good to have the knowledge, but it's not affecting my decisions when I come to buying books like this. So if you say, well, this Frison is way more common than a Frison from 2019, I don't care. It's gorgeous. Mystery in Madripoor, number 1. This is Greg Land on cover of this one. This is a series that really doesn't have much value, but anything Psylocke, and the fact that you get Psylocke, Domino Storm, Rogue, and Jubilee on the cover. I guess this is technically a bubblegum cover, so this book is extremely underlooked, underloved. I don't know. I think it's great. Extremely discounted, so loved picking that up for very minimal investment. Here's another artist I searched for, Nakayama, and David Nakayama, did the cover of X-Men 92, House of XCII. As soon as this book was available on pre-order, I know I pre-ordered a couple of these, but this is a new release that Midtown included in their discount, in their sale. So I went ahead and added it. Okay, I'm hoping this is one of the bigger books that I ordered, so I'm going to put this aside and save it to the end. All right, another search term that I felt paid off at the time, Mike Mayhew on Avengers X-Men Axis number 1. This is actually a Midtown exclusive. So, all the rage right now are popular artists today who are doing exclusives. Let's go back a few years, and even though the artist was still well known, maybe they were still kind of up and coming, or I'm not saying Mayhew 3 years ago was not known, but people are trying to unearth some of these earlier books by the artists that we know and we like today, and calling them ghosts are hard to find. There's plenty of comics. There's plenty of great covers. So this is a really nice Polaris Scarlet Witch playing card kind of variant. Love this one. And we'll go over the values here at the end, but Cover Price is reporting like no sales of this, so it has like no value. I didn't care. I grabbed it. I loved it. Thought it was cool. All right. Let's see if they put these in order. No, they didn't. I got Spawn 327 again. I keep buying this one. This has really, really sneaky value. It's a new release, but people are already sending this into CGC, getting it back in a 9.8 and selling it for, again, that $75 to $125 price range. So I love grabbing these and finding the 9.8s, and then I'll have to get a batch in myself to CGC. But great McFarlane cover, homaging himself. Awesome. So I think I got 3 of these, so there's a couple more in here. This one I did not have. This is She-Hulk #1, Jen Bartel. Bartel was another search term I put in, so I put in McFarlane, I put in Bartel, and realized I had picked up several copies of She-Hulk #1. Really enjoyed the first issue, but didn't have the second print. And really like the color choices on here. That yellow background really pops. I'm not a late printing snob, but sometimes if it has a decent cover, I'll go ahead and grab some late printings as well. So yeah, there's another Spawn 327. All right, so there's another one in there. Now, Secret Wars 2015, and I start to laugh because I don't know which Secret Wars to buy, so I'm buying both. I love the original Marvel superhero Secret Wars, regardless of the story. To me, it's just part of the Marvel Comics universe, that just the fabric of it all. Mike Zeck, Jim Shooter, Bob Layton, all the characters, the covers, Doctor Doom, all of it, love it. But the 2015 series is not one that I wasn't collecting right at the time this came out. I'm pretty sure that this is going to be the series that the MCU, the cinematic universe, is going to pull from. And I think the incursion word being used in Doctor Strange is an obvious tip-off. Even when Secret Wars got on people's radar, the 2015 version, was still easy to find, just because, I think there were 60-some covers for this, or a crazy amount of different covers and exclusives and all of that. So the supply was rather large. Now, I think finally cover A of #1 is starting to sell out at Midtown and other places. But I tried to snatch up a few here and there. And then what I noticed is that as cover A was being bought, the variants and other things were just kind of hanging around. So this was there. This is Secret Wars #1. This is the Assad Ribic promo variant cover. I believe it is an incentive. I think it's a 1 in 25. Love Ribic's art. It's just amazing. Really great detail. Lots of fun characters here on the cover. Dr. Doom down there. Maybe not one of his best covers, but it is Secret Wars. It is #1. So I feel like as cover A keeps climbing or keeps grabbing the attention, eventually it'll pull up the other alternate covers as well. So again, and that was discounted. So the Spawn new release type stuff, that was not on discount. That was left over from the cart. But this Secret Wars #1 was on a discount. Same goes for this. This is Secret Wars #2 by Ribic. I like this cover a little bit more, and it is an incentive. Secret Wars 2 is the first appearance of God Emperor Doom, which is what a lot of people are specking on or thinking about right now. I don't quite understand it. I believe Doctor Doom is so important that he still needs to be properly introduced. I'm not saying that God Emperor Doom will not be the incarnation that gets introduced, or maybe he's somehow in Secret Wars in that form. I don't know. But I'm not really buying into the spec. I'm buying into the value. I'm buying into Ribic and his amazing artistry here. So, when I start to see these books jump and I see them readily available, and then better yet, they're available and at a heavy discount, I'm picking them up. All right, here's that last one. Hopefully, I have enough now. This is probably my fifth copy of 327, and I do have a couple already in a 9/8. So hopefully these three are also 9/8, and then they can be sent off for grading. This book, speaking of print runs and books that are overproduced, Something is Killing the Children, #1. This is the 8th print. So this is a lot of red flags for me, and I just ignored them. So, you have all of these rules that you try to abide by, and you tell yourself to be a good collector and collect a certain way, stay within your means, and so forth. And I am constantly breaking my own rules. So we've got very, very high print run, multiple late printings on this book, lots of variant covers. There's no way that this book has value. Again, I don't care. I loved this cover as soon as I saw it. And when I did, I ended up paying sort of that pre-sale price. I forget what it was at the time, $25, $30, whatever it was to pre-order it. This book was heavily discounted at essentially cover price, or it might have even been a little bit less than cover price. This is another book, though, that slabbed is still going to have some value or some attention. Not at the $100 range, but I just feel like you're always going to be able to, in a worst case, you'll always be able to sell a book like this if you had to. I still love this cover. I love that it's a reprint of #1. I think once Something is Killing the Children becomes an official media entity of some kind, a series, a movie, whatever the case may be, I think all of the printings are going to have value. All of the printings of the first issue. I just like the cover. I like this one. I'd like to have this slabbed as part of my Something is Killing the Children collection, especially my CGC collection. So it's hard for me to pass up the book, even knowing why I shouldn't buy it, because again, once the price gets lowered, then all of a sudden these certain books start to look more and more appealing. So love this book so much. I got two, and a couple more, and then we'll get back to that larger book. Let me just do this one first because I think it's similar to Something is Killing the Children. Department of Truth, #1. This is the 6th and quote-unquote final printing. This was one of my favorite covers. It's closer to cover A and the spoiler cover or the secret variant cover. And I really like this one by Simmons. I also have the version of this one, but I keep buying the late prints of Department of Truth #1 as well. A lot of times you can find these for $1 or $2. This was very affordable thanks to that steep discount at Midtown Comics. All right, now this one, again, search term Dodson, Terry Dodson on cover art of Princess Leia #1. I have been buying both the cover A and then the second print of this one. The second print is essentially the same cover, except the white background is replaced with a star field. So it has a completely black, starry night sort of background, which I love that as well. I think both covers are super, super appealing. I'm a big fan of Dodson, Star Wars fan, Princess Leia fan. It kind of checks all the boxes for me. And what I love is this book is not worth anything. And so I can find this all the time. And it's probably time I go through. I think this is maybe my third cover A, and I've got several of the second printings. And it's always available. It's always easy to find these. But I think this is great. It really, to me, it shows the Princess Leia character, right? I personally feel like this is one of the best Princess Leia covers out there. So I just keep picking that up. Can't help myself. All right, now the last book. This was a book that I saw a while ago. And I just kind of kept my eye on it, added it to wish lists and so forth, but was way out of my price range. And not only was it out of my price range, what was weird was I couldn't really find it. I mean, I could find some copies, but everyone was selling it for so much. But then the actual sale, like reported sales of it, were really, really low. And that happens sometimes with books where, let's say it's a $100 book, or it's a 1 in 100, and someone's trying to basically sell it for 250, or something crazy, but then the reported sales of it are like $40, and it's like I can't find it for anywhere between $40 and $250, even though it's a 1 in 100. So it's kind of an odd data issue, is that there's the reported sales keeps the value low, but then people are trying to sell it at a certain amount and it's not selling, and the sellers won't budge. So you get caught in the middle of like, well, I'll just, create an eBay saved search or use some other wish list technique and figure out like, well, I'll just wait till that day where I wake up and I get that email or that notification push on my device and say, okay, well, I'll just wait and get it, and that day never comes. So I had to take a chance a little bit and paid a little bit more than I think what was being reported in terms of value, but it was way less than I could find it anywhere else. And it is Phoenix Resurrection, Return of Jean Grey, #1, by the artist that I talked about when I started the unboxing, Art Germ. When I was looking at any sort of like modern releases of Phoenix Jean Grey for covers, this one was it just stood out to me. Like, it's just amazing. And of course, when I saw it, and I knew that there was a version cover, it was just something I'm like, I have to have it. But as you can see here with these $250 price tags from Midtown, I did not want to pay $250 for this. There's a whole list of graded keys and ungraded key. I mean, you could probably give me 100 books off the top of your head that you'd rather spend $250 on, and I'm right there with you. So I was like, how do I acquire it for a lot less? Because the value is not $250 because nobody's selling it for that amount, but yet everyone's holding on to it, hoping one day to get that amount. There's no spec on this book, nothing. It's just an absolute gorgeous piece by Art Germ. So I acquired it. Now, what did I pay for it? What did I pay for the rest of the books? Let's find out. All right, here is the order that I placed with Midtown Comics on May 17th, 2022. The total for this order was $207.59. $18 of tax that I had to distribute across all of the books. This was a 17-book order. You can see here my total cost, the $207.59, adds up with column N so that I know my math is correct, and off we go. Now, here is the fair market value comparison. So it's the raw value addition into my collection, and even at a steep discount for these books, which again was in that sort of, I forget exactly what it was, about 75%. So even with the discount, I ended up losing $27.46. Now, I will say that that number is really a mess because of the $63.29 perceived loss on that Phoenix Resurrection book. If I just override it and set it to 0, then you can see that it should be an overall positive value add here, $35.83 in the positive. So I'll get to an explanation of this here in a second. For the most part, I did okay. The Secret Wars 2 incentive currently having a fair market value of $45. Again, that's being driven up because cover A, a lot of people are specking on cover A. I just went ahead and grabbed the incentive. The Secret Wars 1, though, even though that too is an incentive, that one is not rising as quickly, even though I would say that issue 1 cover A, really, people just started grabbing as many copies of those as they could find. And this really has lingered, so I lost $2.67 based on the current fair market value provided by cover price. Everything else, though, you can see even with the discount. Like, look at the Black Cat #1, pretty much a break-even book. Something is Killing the Children #1, the 8th print. People are still trying to sell that book for $10. I got it for $5 plus tax. So I got a little bit of a value add there, a little bit of a bump, a couple dollars each on those. Spawn, I did not get it at a discount, but made a couple dollars each on those as well. The number, the total here, again, I'm not, the numbers are the numbers. They are, the data is the data. I'm not trying to say that it's not, but with this book having no reported sale, is it a book that is complete trash in terms of value, like has no value? I don't know. I spent $6.66 on it. I clearly overpaid since it has no value reported by cover price, and I'm okay with that. She-Hulk second print, very, very minor gain, basically a wash. Department of Truth #1, that was on sale as well for $3.31 after tax. That is a $10 book. And then made some change here on X-Men 92, Alice #1. Hunt for Wolverine, even at a discount, was a loss. And the Princess Leia book, buying it for about $3, and it is just under a $6 book. Circling back to the Phoenix Resurrection book, my total cost for that book was $113.28, and I feel like I have to say, let me explain to defend my purchase, because even though I said, well, for $250 you could buy all these other books, for $113.28 you could buy a lot of other books as well. It has a reported fair market value of $50, but like I said, I can't find it anywhere for $50. And that happens sometimes where you're like, why is the value being reported? Because I would like to pay fair market value. Believe me, I would have loved to have paid $50 for that book. I couldn't find it. Mile High Comics had a copy. I think it was $400 before the coupon. So when I was looking at what I consider to be reported sales of the book, and the asking price, I felt like $113.28 was okay. Now, what am I going to do with that book? I would love to open it, grade it, hopefully get a 9.8 and send it in and add it to my collection of really great Jean Grey Phoenix covers. I mean, that's the whole point. And so I was trying to think about that in my mindset. Like, what would it cost me to acquire the book slab? What would it cost me to acquire it raw? Do I take a chance in eBay and all of these things? And once I started to really just kind of weigh my options, for me, that was the price. It was basically, the way I looked at it, it was my one shot at getting it at a steep discount. I'm not exactly sure what the percentage is, 60% off, 70% off there, off of the $250 price on Midtown. So I took a chance, I got it. I hope it grades out, is what it is. Now, let's take a look at these grades. Some of these books are older, so they should have CGC reported sales with GPA. So let's take a look here and see. So once these update, we'll see in the 9.4, and I'll expand this to see the CGC value. And by CGC value, what that means is if I were to take these books and send them into CGC, because I feel like in their current condition, there is value in having them graded, and I were to send them in, I would have lost $124 on the books that would have come back as a 9.4, like that Princess Leia book, $33. You're hovering right around what it, just the CGC and shipping fees alone there. Same goes for Department of the Truth #1. Oddly enough, the Axis book, so the book that has no raw value, has a $70 CGC value and a 9.4. Probably not a whole lot of sales on that, so I don't know how accurate that number is. And then again, Black Cat, $21, and Secret Wars #1, even the incentive being 15 and a 9.4, just no demand there whatsoever for any of these. So if they're all in that 9.4 near mint range, or has some, if they have that in transit Midtown special type damage, and they're 9.4s, not only did I lose here in the raw value in column AA, but in column AB, I'm losing in the CGC graded space as well. So not a great order. So again, this is starting to tell me something, and I think maybe hopefully it's telling you a story as well. Is it worth it? Is it worth buying these sorts of books when they go on sale? I like adding these books to my collection. When they're more affordable like this, but even then, it still feels like, boy, I must have overpaid. Just for fun, we can flip these to 9.8 just to see if any of these have a much higher ceiling. I'm not suggesting that all of these books are a 9.8 in this order, but certainly, I'm hoping that there's a chance. So the first book I want to look at is that Phoenix Resurrection book, and in a 9.8, GPA is telling me that it's $66. I'm not trying to deny the data here again, but it's hard for me to imagine that book is anything less than $100, right? So the thought was, I'll buy it for $113. I'll have to probably boost up my total cost to $150 in order to get that book in a 9.8, and I believe that it is at least worth $150, but I just couldn't find it available anywhere to buy in a 9.8, because again, I would gladly pay $66 for that book in a 9.8 all day long. Some of the other bigger books, again, that 327 is being reported right now at $101. That's super cool for a $4.55 investment. That's why I keep buying those books. Secret Wars #1 did jump to $100. I think that that's a pretty good deal, even though that book is a variant. It's way below the typical value for an incentive. Again, it's just because that series was mass produced, so it's keeping those incentives low. Let's see. This is interesting too. The cover 2 incentive is being reported $22, but yet the fair market value is $44. So something doesn't make sense there. I think a lot of it just has to do with not a lot of these books being reported as sold, or just GPA not really being able to distinguish one book from another. I'm not sure. Department of Truth, $79 in a 9.8. She-Hulk, the second printing, is already being reported at $70, so that's not too bad. And Hunt for Wolverine Mystery and Madripoor, also minimal investment, $2.86 spent on that book. So if you are looking to potentially find books like this to turn around in a 9.8, going from $2.86 plus fees to send a book in, and then you're looking at potentially even doubling your money there, if you're able to get $70 for that book. So now that I've looked at the numbers and I've compared the raw values to the cover price, fair market values, the graded values, and so forth, and some of these values being rather mysterious, I may hesitate next time when Midtown or any store really puts a lot of their books on sale at such a steep discount. Because even with the discounted prices, once I do all of the comparison, even looking at that total cost, it doesn't look good. I do like the books that I got. It's a nice cross section of things that I like to collect, whether it be specific artists, titles, characters, and so on. So I think it is a nice, well-rounded order. But just from a comic book value perspective, this is something I look back with a little bit of regret, especially if that Jean Grey book does not grade out in a 9.8. That was a huge risk on my part. I bought it sight unseen. I'm going to grade it, see what it comes out as. Hopefully it is 9.8. But what I ended up doing is adding maybe some protection into the order by buying the Spawn 327s. As you saw in a 9.8, those are about $100. So, maybe I end up sending those in for grading, and I'm able to use the sale of one of those in a 9.8 to help recover some of the costs on this order. So I try and think about those things too. Do I add almost like a little bit of insurance to the order when I'm going to gamble like that on such a big book, such a large incentive like the Phoenix Resurrection book? So I'm pleased in that regard that I have kind of a plan B if the order doesn't work out, if that book doesn't grade out. But we'll see. So there you go. Do you participate in a lot of these sales? Do you get trapped sometimes by the advertising and the marketing, or a little bit of FOMO, like this is my only chance to get it at such a discount? I definitely would be interested in hearing more about how you approach online sales or in-person sales. And go ahead and leave me a comment. Thanks for watching. Happy collecting, and see you next time.